Hello and welcome back, my pain train family, to Clockwork Dandy Noodles as we break down episode 14. My jaw is still through the floor in the basement. I need to go grab it, but I'm gonna go through this video with you guys because, oh my goodness. It's actually been one hell of a night because all of my recording equipment just stopped. Kind of got it to a point where I can just scrape by making the videos. I am very behind, so this is going to go up at a stupid time in the morning. I was really hoping that this would be a nice quiet episode. I wouldn't have much to do. Nice and easy. But no. As soon as the middle half hit and all the crap hit the fan, I was just like, oh my goodness, this is going to be a long video. All hell is breaking loose. I am so screwed. But I am here to break it down with you because, oh my goodness, this really is the most important episode so far of season 2. Twists and turns that came this episode. That big reveal at the end, I didn't expect it to be so soon. I'm worried though because we're now in the middle of a war zone and our girl is back. What are we gonna do? But if you are not subscribed, my friends, please do because it really helps the channel out. We are sneakily growing a little bit. Maybe we can hit 666. That would be fun. Come on guys, I want to hit 666. Let's make it happen. We are about 30 out from hitting that. So make sure you are subscribed because in 2 weeks time I'm going to bring to you my mid-season review. Has To Your Eternity just secured a spot on my top 3? I wonder because it's been a very interesting season. I keep thinking after each week I know where my top 3 are sitting, but this video may have just changed everything. It's going to be interesting to see how I feel in 2 weeks time. So make sure you don't miss out on that. I'm crowning my top 3 OPs, EDs and anime, but it's time to get going because there is so much ground to cover. The initial chunk where we have Fushi talking to the dying man who ends up being the king. The main purpose of this talk, I feel, is A, to gain the trust, but it's for Fushi to understand that sometimes when you've got a dying person in front of you, you can't do anything but make sure that the people left behind are okay. What I really gained from the situation, can't do anything, my body, it's too late. Sometimes it is just too late. You can't help somebody. And as we know through To Your Eternity, death is inevitable. It's something that you can't hide from. It's the key theme of this entire anime. The core theme is death and rebirth and accepting your fate and just living a purpose. It is a conversation that follows that up about legacy. It's all about the people left behind. The king cares about is making sure that the people left behind are okay, which is what leads him to actually accept Fushi do the castle. Because he cares about his family, he cares about his daughter, and he wants to know that attack is coming. Fushi could be the only person who could save everybody. I may as well take that chance because I'm going to be dead. I wouldn't be surprised if he was dead by the end of the war and he doesn't see them actually come out of it at the end. I have a feeling the princess will turn into a queen. This conversation was there to serve this purpose because at the end of the day, he gains the princess's trust. He is actually the first person to see her face by choice, not by sneaking a peek and blowing the veil off. She literally sees him with her father, the most important thing to her, because at the end of the day, even if you're rich, famous or anything, your family is still your family. You're still going to feel the same way, and she can see that Fushi really cares. Just talking to his father normally, like he's asking for advice. How do I help people? That allows her to see that Fushi's nature is actually one of caring, one of kindness. I want to help people. And again, we see a resurface this week of the traumatic experience all winding up inside Fushi and how it's affecting him. The only part I really did have issues with this week was the demolition of the castle. There's no flying debris, nobody's hurt by any falling debris, and it all falls nice and neatly. Now, I know there are methods of making trees fall down in a certain direction. Something like a castle where there's so many different pieces of it, I just struggle to accept that nobody's been hit by falling bricks or anything. Tough part for me to accept. It does mean that we have hit the last piece. Fushi has completed his big puzzle. It's also very nice to see Iris and Chabo come back because I have missed them. Iris's design is still absolutely gorgeous. I still miss her. I was a little bit worried because all I saw when they came back was collateral damage, but obviously they are taking the most vulnerable people away, saving people. They are making them refugees for a little bit. They're going to live in Euralis for a little tiny bit. That's when the army arrives. The main Euralis army comes to help because they did technically say they weren't scared of dying, so they were going to technically help them out. So I was wondering when they would show their faces. The big puzzle was over. Fushi now became one with the city. I really like the sceneries we get this week. We get a lot of people sitting on walls looking over everything. The sunset is really, really nice because the sunset technically means it's an end. It's a closure of a day. Fushi has completed his mission in making the city one with him. We now are told that we have 2 weeks left. I still didn't really see what Fushi's main plan was. Sure, he's now one with the city. The thing with wars is they are unpredictable. You can't predict them. Fushi had no idea how they were coming in. What we even see when the war starts is nobody's really ready for the war to start, despite having a start date, knowing that it was that day. It was really difficult to understand where he was going to go with his actual plan. Poco trying to find a boyfriend was a very clever way to show us, the audience, how far weapons were coming, what weapons we had to hand. We get to see the catapults, a lot of really cool advancements when it comes to arrows mainly as well, and a few new weapons, which is really, really cool. I think his name's Hyro. I'm so sorry about the mix-up on the name as well, guys, but I think I've got it now. I think he is Hyro. He reminds me of Attack on Titan's Erwin. Erwin won't take a girlfriend because he believes that I'm going to die one day, and it is unfair for me to leave behind somebody to suffer alone, to weep for me, to grieve for me. It's a very responsible choice, but it is a lonely choice. Erwin really is my favourite character of Attack on Titan. This is a big reason why perhaps I'm not bothered by the series now. I know it's continuing. I know it's going to end in a controversial way. For me, the season really died when Erwin died. I couldn't really get back into it after that. A little tangent for you guys on how I feel about Attack on Titan. Death is always on the horizon. These guys don't know if they're going to live through the battle. They could possibly live. Doubtful, because we do see them all in the garden ED where they're all together, and you can see Bond's cape kind of creeping in at the end as well, suggesting that nobody's going to make it. But then it could be, as we're seeing with the anime now, it's starting to throw our expectations on its head. It's a possibility. These are just everyone coming back to celebrate. This is them all coming back alive to hang out with each other. We've gotten to the point where we are so expectant of bad things to happen, and when good things start to happen, we are confused. That could be part of why To Eternity has such a good impact, that you can't always rely on something being the same. Poco walking along the battlements, and we do get to see some cool trebuchets and catapults, which is nice to see that they're thinking about their outer walls. Poco, stop feeling Echo up. Echo is my girl, and I feel like I've adopted Echo. Don't touch my girl. The thing I do like Poco for is the rejection in Poco style. Jesus, that's gonna need some cream to soothe that bloody burn. Poor Kohaku, just rejected by everybody. I like it. I like your face, but your insides suck. Another way of saying that you look pretty, but you're a bad person on the inside. Still not a big Kohaku fan. Obviously, he still holds a candle for Fushi. I just find him clingy, in your face, too much of a pushy person. I don't appreciate people push themselves on people. I hate that. We've seen jealousy a few times. Again, he doesn't really deserve that kind of brutal honesty from Poco. I guess sometimes it's good to be honest and not string people along. Let's have the first of the jaw drop moment. My jaw dropped to level 2. It was down in the basement a little bit. Dark narrator. I still don't hate the narrator. I understand that he's using Fushi. I also kind of got the feeling that narrator was aware he was going to die. I don't know what gave me this notion. Whether it's because I've read it a long time ago in spoilers. I don't think I've been spoiled too much for the show though. I did think narrator was going to die, and it's one of his last actions is to create Fushi and have somebody replace him. I don't actually think he means Fushi is going to be him. He's going to make him a vessel. I don't actually think that. I think the narrator is going to die. I don't think he's very good at talking to people. I wasn't quite happy with the way Bond knocked Fushi out to have this conversation, because it does feel like we're just keeping Fushi constantly in the dark. It's leading to moments like what happens at the end, and that's going to be an issue because Bond never mentioned anything as we were leaving corpses laying around, did he now? He must have thought in the back of his head that it was possible that it could happen. Narrator is telling everybody basically that I could stop the war, but Fushi is leveling up via experience. Instead of the value of life, the loss of lives that people could die, and he's not seeing that. He's seeing it as progress. He's seeing it as XP. In a game, Fushi is leveling up. The bad side. He's not seeing value of life. He doesn't see them as people, and he could stop the war, but he chooses not to. He's not a good person in this regard. He's making a very bad choice. He's allowing people to die. The moment when he gets struck, a bit painful, because it was like, I don't feel like we need to do that. We don't know enough about the person. A lot of it comes down to him not really saying very much, and sometimes you get characters like that where they'll draw a false flag where you'll think it's this person, but it's just basically they suck at communicating and it's actually not them or something like that. Do get a reminder this week that Kohaku's fake boob and the narrator are technically very similar. Now, both could technically release their host, but they choose not to. However, there are different reasons. The narrator says, I'm going to release him someday, so he does actually intend to do it. For now, he needs Fushi to level up and do all that stuff. The knocker, however, the knocker is scared. If I release you, everything I have done is going to be erased. I'm scared of losing everything. The way that Knocker is speaking is against what the Knockers themselves want, because the Knockers believe that life, pain, that's all bad. You should die. You shouldn't be alive. And there are some beliefs out there that believe that existence is actually a sin. Similar to people like Schopenhauer, they believe that life is suffering and when you die, you're released from it. The knocker in the arm now speaking like, I'm scared, I don't want to die, is almost against what the collective hive mind knockers want. They want to end everybody and make sure they don't come back. But this knocker is scared to let go, scared to cease to be, which is what they want. And if anything, it's starting to think like our team in a sense, which is really, really weird. It's difficult to see the knocker as not higher say, but my jaw then dropped into the basement. We're on the Earth's crust right now. They stabbed the narrator. I didn't even think it would be possible for him to bleed because I believed he was a spirit. Spirits, ethereal beings like God can't bleed. However, he does. I felt really bad because, again, it's Kenjiro Suda. He's not in a lot of animes this season, guys. It's nice to see him come around occasionally. A really insane show of force by crumpling that sword into a ball and that's it, I'm gone. You've lost your chance to talk to me. That could also bite you in the butt. They don't want to just sit around and allow the facade to happen. You either go along with everything that's planned and you accept your fate, or you rise up, push back. Either way, I still see as working in the narrator's favour because either way, you're going to be giving Fushi experience. I don't know what the entire scene meant. It just meant that they were showing him that, you know, we're not standing for this, not going to allow you to use Fushi. It's what I kind of gathered from that. I'm worried that we're not going to see him again. He might come back. I do feel sad about what happened though. I really hope he's not actually hurt because I wasn't expecting blood. I really hope he's not just gonna die. Still a little bit angry at Bon because he kept the entire chat unheard. Again, Fushi's just being kept in the dark. Just like he still hasn't told Fushi, you can bring people back to life. Now imagine if he had said that before he left the corpses laying around. All of the corpses now laying around, if they do get severed from Fushi, they're going to come back and Fushi's not going to have those forms. Those forms are going to be gone. It will be interesting next week when we get the midway credits to see if March is actually on the credits because she can't be used. She's alive again, back from the dead. Oh, guys, I've just figured it out. Bon is playing with the crab because he can see spirits and he can see March's spirits. He's playing with the crab toy with her in spirit form. Even more concerning because it means you're aware that March's spirit's around and that she could come back to life. It's the bad timing. I'm happy March is back, but my goodness, this is bad timing. We're in a war zone right now. Before we go into the war zone itself, Fushi and trauma. It's very interesting that To Your Eternity and Vinland Saga are both dealing with the idea of trauma, fear of losing people, the fear of having people hate me. Thorfinn's kind of detached. That's a very different type of trauma. Maybe at some point I will compare trauma in both the animes. I am technically doing a bit of a crossover here. Both characters are dealing with trauma of sorts. Fushi has seen people die. Similar to Thorfinn, they've both seen people die around them, people that they care about, but they are reacting in different ways. Fushi's almost become terrified of losing people, whilst Thorfinn has become cold because there's no one to lose. But the general notion this week was we're going to live again. We're not here to die. Up until this point, I know I've been very worried about the teasers showing Bon maybe killing people. It was only because it gave me that vibe that he was going to do something dark. That's just To Your Eternity for you. It gave me the impression that it was going to be Bon doing the killing and allowing Fushi to have forms. Why don't you just wait for them to naturally die in war because he'd gain them anyways? It seemed like it was more that, but it also seems that people don't intend to die. If they die, it's going to be because I've done everything I could. My initial goal is not to go out there and get stabbed and die. I'm happy with that. So I was really worried that was the case, but it's not. I did also think that knocking would be a bad thing because anything could easily knock. I could tap my foot, and I tap my foot all the time. I could accidentally knock 3 times and boom, Fushi's in my room. I did feel like that maybe we needed to do something a little bit different, drag it or do a bit more like Morse code type thing. Let's go because I want to talk about this amazing build up into war. The silence, echo on the wall. I think it's like a high-pitched whistling sound and it starts to build and then the music kicks in. To Your Eternity soundtrack is just ace. I love the soundtrack and I love the way it all starts to build. Echo starts to panic because they're there. But we even had the day. We even knew it was going to happen. Everybody is still caught off guard. Nobody is there. Everyone suddenly rushes to their posts, sound the alarm. People aren't in position. And the first attack, the first ballistic that goes into the front wall does do damage. And obviously that's where we see March getting knocked down. Whether the knockers did that on purpose or not, probably not, but they just unknowingly struck a big damage point already to Fushi because he's lost form and he doesn't know that he's lost the form, as we see in the trailer tease at the end. Fushi's not aware March is back yet. He hasn't sensed her coming loose, which is interesting. We are now going into war and I'm very nervous because the build up for this was done so nicely, so I don't know how we're gonna keep the momentum going. We're on episode 15, so I can imagine war might last a couple of episodes, taking us to about 18. Then we've got to wrap it up for a bit. I really hope we're gonna get a 3rd season because it does, whatever we're doing this season isn't going to be the end of it. It doesn't feel like we're going to come to a good end just yet. So I feel like there's more material out there for another season. Hopefully we do get one. Excited and nervous, and it's now the anticipation. I think that's what I got with the silence. Knowing that Echo could sense stuff and Fushi suddenly picks up that, oh my god, they're here. It's all this anticipation and then the music just kicks in, which is a really nice way of building up and then suddenly having it stop because obviously credits get in the way. Oh my god, guys. That last section of March falling on the floor, and initially my brain was like, oh no, he's lost her, she's gonna rot or something because it's just a corpse. But then my brain completely forgot, if they disconnect, they become real. The rebirth in the title, which initially I was like, maybe it means their rebirth of hope, rebirth of determination, because we don't want to be puppets to the narrator. The rebirth was literal. March is back. Once again, she is surrounded by flower iconology. My brain, because that's how she went out, almost went out. That's when we had the first ever fake out into eternity. She's on the table surrounded by flowers and we think she's going to die and she doesn't. And now she's back surrounded by flowers. Mind blown. My jaw is now somewhere in the mantle. Don't know how I'm going to reel that back in because I can't believe it. My girl is back. We haven't seen March for ages, and I didn't expect us to be seeing people come back right now. It's a worry because now we're going into war. Fushi also doesn't know that she's alive. She could get damaged and she could die again, and Fushi may not be able to get her back because she dies and maybe they don't get to talk to one another. Now it's a case of trying to stop her dying in the middle of a war zone. The big worry I had all last episode about Fushi needing to let his mind rest, sleep, even if your body doesn't need sleep, you need to sleep, is exactly what I was worried about. Fushi is just not in any position to be fighting a war. He's had no rest. Nobody's let him sleep, apart from when we put him to sleep by accident. I guess he technically had a night of rest. He's doing so much and he's taken on an entire city. That's gonna have a toll on somebody, and I am not surprised that he looks awful. Now worried, because if Fushi is out of the picture and he just drops in the battle, there was no point of us connecting the entire city. It's all gone to waste because Fushi won't be awake to even do anything with the connection of the city. I'm very worried because it is going to fall down to the humans. That could be the point. Fate of the humans in the humans' hands could be the big lesson, that Fushi might wake up and maybe they've lost people, but they have fought like they have the right to do so and protect people, and they might come out with a win at the end. Sometimes you need to let other people take the burden, which is what he needs to learn the hard way. Oh my goodness, this episode was absolutely amazing. Oh my god. The first half of this season has been a bit meh for me. I wasn't really into it. Oh my god, I'm up guys. I'm ready to just go into this. My goodness. This episode just had it all. We had twist after twist. March is back. My girl is back and I'm so worried. I don't want her to die, but I love March and she was such a lovely character. I cried when March died. That death got me. Thank you guys so much. I need to go and find my jaw. I need to go and ask the narrator to pick my jaw up again. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have got your jaws in the floor just like me. I didn't even know how to respond to this episode. Thank you for your continued support. You guys are amazing. You are my Pain Train family. I love you guys. Have a good day. Bye-bye.